cha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Today we are going to study Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 51. Arjuna Uvacha Trishvedam Manusham Rupam Tava Samjam Janardana Idanim Asmi Samvritta Sacheta Prakritim Gataha. Translation. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, "O Janardana, seeing this human-like form so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind, and I am restored to my original nature." So in this chapter 11, Krishna, he does this mystical display in which Arjuna says, "I want to see your universal form." And although Krishna was in the battlefield in a two-armed form, he accepted this request and he displayed this amazing form to Arjuna, in which he displays all the features that you see in the world and in this world and the other spiritual world in one gigantic form. So he starts to see millions of heads, millions of mouths, and devouring and doing this whole cycle of creation and destruction within that universal form. That is what Arjuna requested Krishna to see, and when Arjuna starts seeing this universal form, he's like completely bewildered because if you see God fully, or how can we say it, if you see what God does from beginning to end, how he creates everything and destroys everything and maintains everything, it is completely bewildering. So in this verse, after Arjuna is completely shocked by this scene, he prays that please return to your normal two-armed form. And in this verse, Krishna is back again to his two-armed form, and Arjuna regains his composure, and he's like, "Oh, this is very sweet." And let me see, it says, "Seeing this human-like form so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind, and I am restored to my original nature." So this is a very important thing to understand, that God definitely is amazing, he's omnipotent, omnipresent, everything. So to understand God fully, or to see everything that God does in one shot, is overwhelming. It's too much for the mind. I mean, it's, if you just look, well, if you live in the country, you go in the country outside and you see the sky, and you just look at the sky, and it's like there's universes and unlimited amount of stars. And if you have some equipment, you can even see even more stars that you can't see by the naked eye. And there's like unlimited planets and universes that expand from God. And if one has this vision of God, which includes all that he does and he creates and destroys, one just goes mad because it's too much information. And so the original form of God is that of Krishna, a two-armed form, beautiful features. This is called the original form. And this universal form was just a temporary display because Arjuna requested that specifically. And God is very merciful, and if you want to freak out and get all astonished, he can show that to you. But as Arjuna quickly realized, is that when I see this human-like form, very beautiful with two hands playing the flute, this form, original form of Krishna, then the heart feels very pleased and is very satisfying to the mind, to the heart. And this is just because, not only because God is great, it means he has to have this amazing, inconceivable form, but he also at the same time has the form of a very young boy, fresh, human-like form. This is a special, unique mercy of God that he has that, and that we can love him like that. Because we were talking about recently that it's very hard to fall in love with a light. That some people say that God is a light. Well, no, God has to be more than a light, because if I need to love him, then it has to be a person. It could be a gigantic monster that's very powerful, and you could say that's God. But then it's very hard to love God if he would be some strange form. So when he has this human-like form, then it is very sweet. One can very easily love a very beautiful person like that, because it's very close to our own understanding and to our practical interaction. If God was too big, we would only be in this awe and reverence that, oh God, you're great, and oh, you're gigantic. But God doesn't want that. God wants us to love him in a very nice, personal way, in a very almost informal, that we're not thinking, oh, this is God, and we're always with fear. No, that he's a very dear friend, someone very close. And that is what God enjoys the most, that we serve him in a very friendly, familiar way. He doesn't like so much this fear, because if we have fear, then love is always checked. There's always a barrier for love to express fully. There has to be this feeling of equality, that we are, you're my very best dear friend, my very intimate relationship, not with fear. So this is sometimes God will display these mysterious, mystical things, and sometimes the devotees ask for it. But the fact is that we actually achieve peace and real happiness when we see God in his original, beautiful, two-armed form. That is just the best. In the purport, Prabhupada mentions here the words Manusham Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally two-handed. Those who deride Krishna as if he were an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. And well, this is another problem. Sometimes people say, oh, Krishna, he was just a great personality, just like so many other great personalities. But in the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that Krishna is God, and that's it. And there's no doubt about it. It's confirmed by other sages and by Arjuna himself. When he sees all these things, he's like, wow, only God could do this. And I'm not saying that you have to believe this thing, but at least when we study Bhagavad Gita, we should understand that when we're reading Krishna's words, we should at least conceptually take the position that Krishna is God, that it is God who's speaking. Even if we don't believe it, at least we should read the book with that mindset. It's not just someone who has cool ideas or just happens to be really beautiful or not. It has to be read in that manner for it to be understood. People who study Bhagavad Gita in a scholarly way, that, oh, it's just another book of religion and there's 20 million books on religion, then they never get that mystery, that essence of the spiritual knowledge. So at least minimum, one must read Bhagavad Gita with that mindset. Okay, maybe I don't believe in Krishna, I think Jesus is God or Buddha or whatever, Okay, but at least for while you're reading this book, you should take this understanding that Krishna is God. And let me take the knowledge that Krishna is giving as if it was God himself speaking. That is a proper way to study Bhagavad Gita. If you have any comments or questions, please visit our website, thevedicway.org. Thank you. Hare Krishna.